absolutely amazing being able to look out and see all these faces and families. My name's Michael. Some of you may know me as Rooster. This is my mother, Joanne, my father, Marvin. I'm a student here at ATC for going on 10 months tomorrow. I just actually transferred into the Omaha house 2 weeks ago, and it's been a heck of an experience. Let's see. I've been sober 14 months, which is awesome. So when they asked me to talk about a little bit about Family Weekend, because this is my second one. I was able to participate in the first one, and this is totally different a little bit just because of the size from the first one. Before I came to ATC, I found myself in one of my biggest messes, in a jail cell, having had 2 new charges added to my record. When I think of ATC, when I think of Teen Challenge, I think of the 2 words that come to mind, and that's restoration of relationships. And so, as I'm sitting here thinking about what I wanted to say, those 2 words come to mind, and it took some relationships out in the real world with my family to go sour for sorry about the hotness, but it took some things to happen, and love has a hard way of showing itself. Sometimes it shows itself in ways that we don't really feel as love. I was running around in such a mess. The devil had me so sideways that it caused my dad and I to get into a confrontation where there was a no contact order. There was no trespassing to the house, to the family business. And when I go back to the love thing, you know, sometimes tough love has to take place in order for us to realize that our relationships, especially with number 1, if we don't have number 1, we can't have the other relationships. Dad had enough. They started to put their foot down, and this can't go on any longer. I was unpredictable. I could go into so many stories, but I wouldn't want you to think any different of me if I did. My mother, on the other hand, Dad's a little tougher. My mother, on the other hand, was one that had never really told me no. Very rarely would she had ever said no. If I had needed anything, food, I mean, I'd be running the street acting as if I was homeless, you know, and she would cater to that. And I don't mean no offense to that, Mom. But she had finally started saying no. And in this last deal, I was bonding in and out of jail, going to treatments, trying to, you know, I kind of had a way about getting through the system. If I get locked up, I'd have them check me in, you know, or what do they call that? Check me into the rehab so I could spend 30 days in those, you know, and then get back out. They let me out of jail. You know, 6 times probably in the last 2 years I'd been in Horizons in Cedar Falls. And this last deal, Mom started telling me, no, you can't come to the house. No, I can't feed you. You're gonna have to figure something out. Well, my last charges had caught up with me, and I went and served my warrants, and they were getting ready to sentence me, and I was looking at 10 years in prison, and they were giving me a deal for halfway house. I was like, yeah, cool. That's gonna be so easy. I've been to prison, I've done halfway house, it's gonna be great. Well, when we go to court, the woman that was pressing the charges decided that wasn't good enough. She wanted full sentence. And as soon as that happened that day in that courtroom, I came back to jail cell, and Teen Challenge came to my mind. And so I started pursuing coming back to Teen Challenge. This was my second time. I tried it in Milwaukee once. It didn't work. I was too far away from home. Relationships were too far. There's so much love in my family. It's big. We've been we had a Pentecostal upbringing. It's just sometimes I feel it's almost too much, but you can never have enough love. Well, when the Lord spoke to me and told me about Teen Challenge, I did get a response, and it wasn't to get a response from the family. It was, I knew that that's what I was supposed to do, because I had been running from my relationship with Christ. And remember, I said earlier, without that one, we can't have any others. And no wonder that these relationships with my brother and my sisters, my aunts and uncles, and grandma's no longer here, but those relationships were detouring very, very, very quickly. And so the Lord told me, hey, this is a chance for you to get over there. And you know what they do? These guys are in the business of restoring lives. And so I've been here for 10 months, like I said. I sort of came in with a chip on my shoulder, still upset with myself, trying to let some things go, forgiving myself. And but I've opened up and I've let the Lord be working in me. And the day of Father's Day weekend was our first family weekend, I believe. And I had it set up to where I had 2 or 3 people coming. I just wanted some family members to come, but it ended up where Dad was the only one to come. Our no contact order had just been dropped, just before I got here. And so it gave us an opportunity the first family weekend, it was about telling our story. So Dad and I got to sit and, talk about things of the past, like his traveling, my being a hellion, and, the thoughts and things that were going through our minds, and things that we'd like to do different and see in the future, which was great because we've never had really a structured environment where we felt safe and kind of a curriculum to follow to do so. So that was really awesome with the first family weekend, and I see that coming here too. So that gave us a really good opportunity to feel safe, open up a little bit, and we got sidetracked quite a bit, but it was for positive. And so I'm excited about this weekend. I'm so excited to see all these faces. The families that are here, and come back and see my guys. There's more I think I wanted to say, but I'm going to pass it to my dad.
Okay. I too want to thank Michael and Ashley. You're the start of the restoration of this family. You and Teen Challenge, you and Michael. I don't know where Michael's at. But anyway, the Holy Spirit is really here this morning. I can't, I'm a bull baby, but.
Yes.
Last night was wow. That's all I can say is wow. I fell off a roof in 1999 and I shattered both heels and ankles, and actually shouldn't even be walking. But yesterday I detailed a truck and I was up a long day and my feet were killing me. That's why I sit a lot of the service, but it was wild. I wish that our church had services like that. I really do. This turnaround started because in our church we have Celebrate Recovery. I absolutely did not support this. My wife and some others from the church come to Des Moines to go to a seminar. And you know how God works on people. I'm a very strong supporter of Celebrate Recovery because this is where our recovery started back home. I had some things that needed to be fixed too, not just Michael. We start out in our Celebrate Recovery back there. My name's Marv Roster. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I have some problems with trust, anxiety, and a lot of other things. We all have hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And if you don't think you have them, you're only kidding yourself. I have to look at notes, I'm sorry. But I talked to a teacher of yours. I took the speech class to Cedar Rapids here a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to the gal because I wanted to make sure I did this right today. I wanted to make sure I said the right things. And Lee Cox, and I've shared quite a bit with her. You know what she said to me? She said that Michael's a good guy. He's got some good in there. It just needs to come out. And that was big encouragement to a daddy. I'm supposed to talk on start here and now. To start with, it was like a train wreck. When Michael come here, as he said, there was a no contact thing. So I couldn't come. The rest of the family could come, but I couldn't come. So I sit at home on the weekend. And we finally got that lifted just before Ashley had the, no, it was before that. It was before that. But anyway, that had been lifted, which made it so that I could come down here. And that was the start of Stonewall starting. It took some time. Oh, here we go. November is when I come to the conference, and Michael already hit on this. You know, that seminar was really good, the conference, but we were able to get away and go upstairs. And there were some things that Michael and I had shared that needed to be shared a long time ago, but never was. But we were able to share in that complete restoration was on the start. And I'm in awe of how far you've come from talking to you on the phone, being here. He's telling me, Dad, you need to pray about this stuff. You know, and I never thought I didn't ever think I'd ever see that. You know, and this next one's really the rough one. My wife kept telling me that he needs his daddy, which was true. He needed his daddy. He needs mommy too, but he needs daddy. He needs both of us. And you know, I can only see good things ahead. I really can. And now we're talking about the end. I love Teen Challenge. And I'm going to start supporting. I'm telling you out loud here. I'm going to start supporting you financially more than I have. You have given our son back to us. That's big. That's big. You know, I had written down here, the sky's the limit. There's no limit with God. You can't tie his hands. You can't lock him up in a cage. Yeah, he was pretty well beat up on the cross there, but he's the man. And the Holy Spirit is strong in here this morning. Wow. I'm glad I'm sitting down.
And I'm Mom, and I'm the storyteller of the family. But I tell my kids and my grandkids, my stories are all true. I'd never tell you one that wasn't. Well, we've had a story with Michael, and my part of that is, yes, I didn't know how to say no. I came to the first church service down here, and the pastor listed off a whole list of things that parents do, thinking they're loving their children. And in truth, we're just helping them. We're enabling them. And so I had to check every one of them in my mind and say, oh God, I thought in a mother's heart I was doing what was right. I loved him so much. And you know, I look now and I think, you know, part of it was actually selfishness on my part, kind of, because I used to tell Michael, if you're okay, I'm okay. And so I would do anything to make him okay, so I kind of would feel better, which meant I paid his rent, I bought his groceries, I picked him up, I moved him from place to place. I did whatever was needed. In the middle of the night, 2:30 in the morning, I was driving my son wherever he thought he needed to be. And I thought, well, at least he's alive. And it came to a night when I hadn't seen him for a couple of weeks, and I've told Michael this. I said, Michael, there's one thing I've learned through this journey. You've taught me how to pray, because I couldn't make it without my God. And in the middle of the night, where I didn't know where he was, and the enemy would tell me, like, oh, he's probably dying somewhere along the road. And what are you going to do about it? And I had to deal with those things. And I remember that it came to a point where the pain was so great. I'm not a suicidal person, but I thought, God, maybe that would kind of be an answer, because at least it seemed like I could get out of this pain for a while. But I knew I'd been raised in church. That wasn't what God wanted. So I would simply fall on my knees and I'd cry out to God again. And I remember when he came home that time, and he's standing in my bedroom drawer, and he's not good. But he said something I'll never forget. He said, Mom, do you know why I come home when I've been out running all that time? And I said, no, Michael, I don't know. And he said, because, he said, them demons are chasing me out there. But he said, when I get to the property line, they can't come any further. And I know people call me crazy. I've seen the angels standing on the four corners of our property, and I thank God. I remember a night he's lying in bed and he's a mess, and I seen a warring angel standing by his bed with a sword drawn. And I knew my God was taking care of him, but still, it seemed like it was too much. And I went to bed one night just begging God for something, and I remember this dream. I shared it with Ashley, but it was so real. Marvin had come to me, and he had said in the dream, honey, I seen a picture of Christ. I'd like to have someone paint it. And I said, okay. And I don't understand the first part of the dream, but he came back and he said that man that was going to paint the portrait is dead. So he found someone else. And when it was finished, he came to me, and I remember I was standing alongside this life-size portrait, and I came around to the front, and when I did, it was the actual Christ on the cross. And I seen the blood matting his hair, and I see the blood flowing from his body. And I'm standing there and I'm looking up at him. And when I'm looking up at him, there's two, and I believe now they must have been angels. They put me on that cross with Christ. They tied my hands to his and my feet to his. And the blood from his body came in through my garments. And I'm screaming and I'm begging and I'm saying, Jesus, let me down. I can't do this, let me down. I couldn't look in his eyes, Ashley, because I knew it was my sin that put him on that cross. I couldn't do it. When I finally realized, and I was exhausted, that I could embrace this dying Christ, I wrapped my arms around him, and when I did, the angels came and took me down, and Christ stood before me, and he said, Joanne, he said, you've always asked to see me in my glory. And it's true. I used to pray, God, let me see you in your glory, high and lifted up. And he said, but I'm here to tell you, you never wanted to walk with me through my pain. When Michael was in the midst of what he was into, I just wanted out. I wanted out of that pain. God said, I don't want you that way. I want you to know whatever the pain is, that I'm walking with you through it. And that's good enough. Because he said, unless you'll walk with me through my pain, you're never going to see me in my glory. That's my God. That's my God. Today's not about me. It's not about Michael. It's not about Marvin. It's not about my family as much as I love them. It's about Jesus Christ and Him only. I remember times when my son was gone and I'd see people and they'd be riding the bicycle like he used to ride. They'd be carrying a backpack, and at first I thought it was Michael. And I'd start to pray, and one day I said, God, I don't get it. I prayed so hard for him. I fasted, I interceded, did everything I knew to do. Why is the weight so heavy? And the Holy Spirit said to me, Joanne, you're not just praying for your Michael, you're praying for all the Michaels. You see, it's a worldwide thing. It's not about just us. It's about the entire family. This is family here. This is family. I remember when Michael was getting ready, they thought to go to prison. And I'm going to tell you something, I don't have very many heroes in this life. But if I have one now, it's going to be Mike Crable. That man, he went to bat for Michael because we had a county attorney that said that boy is going to prison. And I remember someone telling me, do you know what Mike Crable said to him? I don't have an idea. He told him, he said, the county attorney said, why should I let him go to Teen Challenge and not put him in prison? And Mike Crable said, because we have a better recovery rate. I think that's pretty awesome.